Welcome to Game Day Recap. Mike St. Green is back. April the 3rd, 2021. A day that will go down as one of the best SFL days of regular season action ever. Just one heck of a day, Mike, and we're exhausted, but golly, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Cam, teams, fighting for the playoff lives today. Some teams trying to stay alive. Some teams trying to position themselves better. Some teams trying to win division. Some teams trying to stay in the division hunt. And hey, man, everybody came to play today, and it turned into an exciting day.
Oh, okay, good. Mike was frozen. I thought we were going to lose him again. All right, let's start with Lone Star. On the brink. Right, they fall to 5-6, and they got Fort Worth left. It's not looking too good, but unbelievable. Down 31-14, and Lone Star completes an epic comeback over Queen City, who was fighting for their own playoff lives. Just a thrilling game. 35-34, Lone Star wins in the end.
Yeah, Cam, Queen City had been struggling offensively basically all season long and definitely over the last, past few weeks. But, these guys came out firing, man. Ted Haynes on defense had a couple of interceptions, but Jet Zero, man, who we failed to mention or really didn't have time to mention in the post games earlier. Jet Zero had a huge game for Queen City, keeping them in this game, 158 yards rushing, a couple touchdowns. Hughes first half came out firing and helped Queen City get up in this game. And as I mentioned, Ted Haynes with a couple of interceptions, keeping Lone Star off balance as Ace Fennick was struggling with 4 interceptions in this game. But, all of a sudden they turned it around in the second half. And then let's go back to the first half for a second and talking about running backs, keeping someone in the game. Ike McBride, man, she had a huge game, keeping Lone Star in this game in the first half as Ace was struggling and pretty much kept these guys in striking distance as it turns out. And then they just Ace turns it on in the second half, 3 touchdown passes late. And before you know it, Lone Star wins this game.
This was the day of the running back. You got some totals in here. I know Redford had over 200, but Robert Johnson was close to getting 200. So what, you got some totals there on some running backs?
Yeah, Robert Johnson had 183. Ike McBride had 151. Jet Zero, as I mentioned, had 158. I think that's all. Robert Redford had 238. So a huge day for the running backs. Just when everybody was saying, maybe the running backs, this is off year for them, they said, hey, hold on, we're still around. We're going to have a big day today.
Yeah, it was just a great day. It was phenomenal watching some of these guys and gals play. We saw some sensational play from some sensational players. I can't wait to give out game balls because this is going to be a tough one. We saw some stellar performances today. Shifting gears to the Pacific Division. So we mentioned Robert Johnson, Los Angeles. They get a monstrous win, 17-13 over Carolina on essentially 2 big plays. That's it. Carolina held them down. They did nothing all the rest of the day, and LA gets the win. Their defense helped them out with that a great deal, forcing Carolina into a situation where their offense had to win them the game, and it couldn't happen. Then in Vancouver, the Legion win a barn burner thriller. At one point, they were down 37-34 to Jacksonville. They end up winning the game in overtime, 43-37 on a touchdown pass on third down to Brett Killian. They would not bring out the kicker. They did not want the game to come down to a kicker. And you know what? Honestly, Mike, I can't blame him. He's missed an extra point earlier this season. And when you got Tom Pepper and Brett Killian, just keep on throwing the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it was really questionable whether they should bring out the kicker. But hey, Tom Pepper, the best quarterback in the league, as far as yardage, touchdowns, QBR. They decided to put the game in his hand and not leave it up to the kicker, and it paid off dividends for him in the end. Tom Pepper, 446 yards passing, and as we mentioned just a few minutes ago, Robert Redford with a great balance to that attack, 238 yards, got into the end zone a few times, had some huge runs in this game, just kept Jacksonville off balance this whole game, and it panned out for Vancouver in the end.
You know, Los Angeles won the first meeting between the two teams. It feels like Vancouver is certainly the favorite in this matchup. LA just getting by today to keep themselves alive in the mix. Otherwise, Vancouver would have won the division today. How does LA win this game? Do you see them having a chance in this game? How do you see this matchup playing out? Probably going to be one of the last, if not the last, games of the week in Week 12.
I tell you what, just to touch on, the game that was played today with Carolina real quick, and definitely not to take anything away from LA. Carolina has to be kicking themselves. As you mentioned, they lost on basically 2 plays at the end of both halves.
Yeah,
Robert Johnson with a big 88-yard touchdown run with less than 30 seconds left in the first half, and obviously Davius Reed with the big touchdown catch, less than 2 minutes left in the game in the second half. So, shout out to Carolina, man. Tough loss, and they're going to be kicking themselves about this loss. But to move on to this matchup next week, Los Angeles is basically going to have to do more of the same of what they did this week. Tough defense, get Robert Johnson involved, keep Tom Pepper in that, Vancouver offense off the field, and defense is going to have to play well, create some turnovers, and going to have to win a tough, tight game, or else this game is definitely going to go to Vancouver if they can't do that.
You know, there were a couple big injuries to 2 Atlantic teams that lost this week. Hunter Norwood went out of the game, did not play the back half of the fourth quarter and overtime. That could have affected pressure. But Monte Wyatt was the big one, the free safety. Chad Stinson, who was filling in for him, ended up getting a pick a little bit later on in that game. But they really missed him at the end of that game after their secondary sort of held it together as best as they could. But that deep ball, they would have really liked to see Wyatt in there. And now at 5-6, Carolina plays Charleston in the last week. They've already beaten Charleston this season, so that's a positive for the Skyhawks. But now they're playing catch-up in a season that was looking like kind of a miracle season for Carolina after losing some pieces, lots of pieces in the offseason to have the season that they've been having. It's been pretty impressive, and now the loss to Jacksonville and now the loss to L.A., and they're going the wrong way.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Monte Wyatt injury and really came back to bite them late in that game. As I mentioned, the Davius Reed touchdown pass, the backup safety fell down on that play, so he had no deep help, and Davius Reed basically was wide open on that play, and so maybe that injury did come back to bite him. And like I said, just tough luck for Carolina in this game. They have really played some impressive football over the past few weeks. They beat Baltimore in a tough game. Were basically in this game the entire game until the end. I know they want to make the playoffs. I know these guys have been waiting a long time. We'll see how it plays out next week against Charleston.
As of this taping, Baltimore is still in 4th place, but depending upon who wins tomorrow, things could get ugly for the Vultures after they did an incredible job to come back. Mexico City blows a 16-point lead and then wins the game anyway on the leg of Cole Varner. But Baltimore is 7-4 now. Yes, they have clinched the division, so they don't have to worry about that. But their seeding and whether or not they can compete with the Floridas and the Denvers of the world right now, a little bit in question. They posted in the community that they're looking to fill a couple of positions in the offseason, key positions. We don't know what T. Roy's future is with the squad, whether he's going to be front office or whether he's looking to go to a different team. Their run game is just gone, Mike. They're not running the football at all, and teams are starting to key in on this passing attack. Mexico City gets a much-needed win to put the pressure on Fort Worth.
Yeah, Baltimore, man, it's really tough to figure out, what has happened to T-Roy Gain in far as, the playbook and the game plan in this offense, because Jack Whitmore has just basically been throwing the ball all over the place. I mean, he has Ivory Irving, he has Lloyd Graham Jr., and Daly Holder had a big touchdown today, but I really would like to see T-Roy more involved coming down the stretch and going into the playoffs, because he has been a huge part of that offense year in, season in and season out. So I would like to see him get involved. And as far as this game itself, it's very similar to the Lone Star and Queen City game, where Mexico City was in total control of this game up until the fourth quarter. Baltimore makes a big comeback, falls short, and Mexico City actually missed some great opportunities to put points on the board a couple of penalties took them out of field goal range.
Just crazy.
Well, actually, Varner did hit a big 55-yarder after penalty that could have taken him out of field goal range, but he happened to come through with that big leg of his with a 55-yarder to win it late in the game.
We saw a clipping, false start. Matt Wilson was struggling with his footing. It was, everything seemed to be going Baltimore's way down the stretch of that game, and it almost felt like, a landslide for Ramos Lynn. It just getting clobbered with just bad luck and bad play, and it really felt like things were starting to melt down for Mexico City. What a key win. Their first win against Baltimore in 6 tries, and their first win since 2018. Boy, and they sure needed every second of it, that's for sure.
Well, I will tell you this, going into the playoffs, if Mexico City goes on to secure their spot, they're still a team that I would not want to have to meet in the playoffs. Kale Barrett had another, touchdown catch today, a couple of touchdown catches, I believe, if not just one. But, he's one of the top receivers in the league. Phoenix Jones had another touchdown run today with 17 rushing touchdowns, leads the league. And then that defensive line, Dan Tritz leads the league with, I think, now 13 sacks. Kingsley had a sack. Lee had a sack. And then you add in Jeffrey Daggs with 3 interceptions. So these guys are just tough all the way around. I know I kind of anointed them the best team in the league a couple of weeks ago. I won't put that tag on you again, Mexico City, and jinx you guys, but I definitely won't want to play you guys coming down the stretch in the last week of the season on the playoffs.
Yeah, they just got so many weapons, so many big names. That's one heck of a team, and they're keeping the pressure on Fort Worth. If Fort Worth wins against London, then the division is over, and Mexico City turns to the wild card. But if Fort Worth loses to London in an upset, things could get crazy again down in the South. All right, Mike, game balls. What a wild, wild Saturday.
Well, I'll tell you what, the game balls for me are definitely going to go to the running backs. Take your pick. But my first pick is going to be Robert Redford. Huge game against Jacksonville tonight. 238 yards, couple touchdown runs, and just tough, great runs this entire game. Robert Redford gets my first game ball.
Before you take him, I'm going to take Kanye Rockefeller of D.C. 9 tackles, 2 interceptions, including the game winner. A kick return touchdown that ignited D.C. when they were down 6-3 and the game had no touchdowns. This man has he had the game of his life. And, he's bounced around a bit. He's been in Houston and Tulsa and Arizona and now he's trying to settle into a home to D.C. This is his first year returning kicks and punts, and he's able to get that touchdown and ignite the DC Dragons. It was an impressive performance. They've won 2 in a row. Yeah, they're out of the playoffs. They're out of the mix. We won't be talking about them much next week, if at all, but DC spoils Houston's night and, makes things more difficult for the Hyenas thanks to Kanye Rockefeller.
Yeah, I'm really happy for Kanye, happy to see his success over there in D.C. Like I said, he's bounced around the past couple of seasons, was in Houston a couple of seasons ago, and was happy to see him have a big game tonight against his old team and help D.C. to a victory.
Who you got next?
Like I said, it's going to be all about the running backs tonight since, they haven't been getting much love this season. I'm going to go with Ike McBride. She had she kept Lone Star in that game when, they had nothing going in the first half otherwise, with, a big 71-yard touchdown run early in that game, 151 yards, a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown as well. So Ike McBride kept Lone Star in that game when they had nothing going. She helped seal the win. in the second half. Ike McBride gets my game ball, second game ball.
I'm going to think outside the box. Honorable mention to Robert Johnson for the one touchdown run by itself. Okay, you get like a sliver of this game ball. But I'm going to go Sully Richardson because everyone needs a pick-me-up. And what kind of pick-me-up is it when a safety just falls over? I mean, and it's not like he fell over before Sully threw it. Sully throws it, and then all of a sudden, the Red Sea parts, or the Gray Sea for Carolina, and he got an easy one. He got a chunk one. He gets the game ball because he put it on. He put it on the money, right? What if he overshoots that ball? What if it's off target?
Yeah.
What if he has to come back for it? He made the simple football play on a day that he was really having a bad day, and who knows? Maybe that can turn Sully's season around because he's been getting smacked around. He's been sacked more than any other quarterback in the SFL. And this is my chance to give Sully Richardson a pick-me-up. You get the game ball for throwing the game-winning touchdown to win that game, to keep your divisional hopes alive. Yeah, Johnson had a great game, but you got that ball down there, sir. So I'm going to give it to Sully.
Cam, usually when you give your out-of-the-box warnings that you're going to go out of the box, I usually kind of, squeeze, I usually don't know which way you're going. I'm like, but I kind of get scared a little bit, but I could go along with you on this one. Yeah, as I mentioned in the hours and hours ago in the pregame of this game, LA needed to figure out a way to keep Sully upright and protect him with the run game. They did protect him with the run game. They protected him pretty well in the first half. Carolina did come through with some big sacks in the second half, but like you said, to make this play, playoffs on the line, they're still trying to keep themselves in line for the division. Sully Richardson made a huge play at a huge time in this game, and we'll see if they can springboard them to bigger heights next week.
And it can't be understated against his old team too, against the team he just came from. To do that to them in that spot, that's ice water right there. That's just terrific. Well, Mike, we've got an early day tomorrow as action starts in the morning at 12:30 Eastern with London and Fort Worth, 12:30 p.m., 11:30 a.m. Central. And then we've got games all throughout the day. Louisiana, Sioux Falls, very slim chances they are still alive in the playoffs thanks to Houston's loss. We got a bunch of teams playing big games tomorrow. We've got St. Louis in a big game. Tulsa, the East Division, looking good. Arizona, Atlanta, huge game. Atlanta's backs against the wall now too. So it's going to be fun, and happy to bring it to you tomorrow on For the Fans and FTF and SFL Twitch. So we out.
Yes. Hey, great to be back with you guys. See you tomorrow morning.
Absolutely. See you guys tomorrow.